Good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name is Jody Cedric, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And man, guys, I'm super excited because I have another dad from TikTok that's going to be my guest today. But before we jump into meeting with Sean, I want to remind you that I'm part of the Speak Fire family. We're all invested in helping you be the very best individuals and women, men that you can be. So make sure to check out the rest of the crew, and want to give a shout out to Rethinking Rich, who is a huge supporter of the podcast. And with that said, man, I just want to jump into this week's episode. I've been following this gentleman on TikTok for a couple weeks. His name is Shawnee_the_kid, or the Shawnee_the_kid. And so I actually reached out to him because he has hit the nail on the head when it comes to trying to encourage men to be great husbands. And I'm a big believer that if you're not taking care of the lady in your house, the queen of your home, then the rest of the family life can be a real challenge. So please welcome my guest, Sean Knauff. I'm super excited to have you. Good day to you.
Hey, Jody, what's up, man? It's been awesome so far, dude. We got to hang out a little bit before we started.
It's been great, and it's fun because one of the things that I've really enjoyed about TikTok is I've been able to meet with men who are really trying to have an impact on men's lives and really have an impact on the family by working with men, inspiring men, and encouraging them. And I mean, the thing that I really like about your TikTok is it's really raw. It's very in your face. It's very authentic. It's like, man, it's time to step up and let's be the men that our wives are hoping we be.
Yeah, I mean, Jody, I get a little bit of flack that I'm bashing men. I'm not trying to bash anybody. I really just would love to see more men step up and just do what they got to do to take care of their families. I have sisters. I have a lot of female cousins. I have, just people in my family that their marriages have failed simply because as men, we just get caught up in work and we get up in our own head and we just don't want to hear anything. We come home and I've been there. And a lot of motivation for me is me trying to speak to my former self. I had a lot of ladies say, "Hey, you're really smart. How do you know this stuff?" And I'm like, because I lived it and I got my stuff together because I almost failed. My marriage almost failed, and I don't want my marriage to fail. I don't want to have a divorce. I want to be a good dad. And so, that's kind of the motivation, I guess, behind my TikTok channel lately. And yeah, man, I'm glad you noticed, and I'm glad you don't think I'm trying to bash men, and that that I'm trying to be encouraging and stuff. It means a lot.
No, I think you do a great job. And I think, the thing that I really like about not only your TikTok, but also our conversation is it really starts with a conversation with yourself. All right, what kind of man, what kind of husband, what kind of dad do I want to be? And I think a lot of us men, rather than face ourselves and truly assess what kind of engagement we're having with our wife and with our kids, we just kind of try to skirt the issue and walk around it and go, you know what, I'm working, I'm providing, and that's enough. But that's not enough to create a strong relationship with your wife and with your kids.
Amen. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Like, I've heard it from in my TikTok channel in the past month, I went from about 3,000 followers to 42 something now, 1,000 followers within a month, because I said a few things that really rung some bells. I literally had tens of thousands of comments from women that are frustrated because their husband feels that going to work and coming home is all they have to do. They don't have to pay attention to the kids. They don't have to pay attention to their wife. And beyond that, a lot of them are a lot of these moms are stay-at-home moms, and they really get no breaks whatsoever. And there's a lot of anger flying around. And to be honest with you, it's kind of heartbreaking reading a lot of these comments, because I'm just like, man, this is a mess. And for some reason, a lot of people are asking me for advice and stuff. And I'm not a marriage counselor, but I'll be glad to throw my 2 cents on it. But it hurts me to see how bad things are out there. And it's been kind of tough to keep making videos and trying to stay positive, because I get kind of sucked into it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, just like you said, it's not enough to just make the money, and that's how it is. It's just not. If you want to be happy, that's not enough. So,
as I reflect, on experiences that I've had with other men, often when I go and I'm talking to them, or they've come to me and said, man, Jody, how do I bridge the gap with my wife? I mean, it seems like there's always this underlying tension with us, and our intimacy is not exactly where I want. And I'm like, dude, you've lost the pursuit of your wife. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, when you were dating your wife, you would have drove an hour, 2 hours to spend an hour with her. And now, if she asks you to pick up some laundry, you're grumbling because you got to take it from the living room to the bedroom, let alone actually fold it.
Let me better that. I'd have walked 2 counties to see her for an hour. Oh man, yeah, dude. It's it's not that. I don't think for a lot of guys, I don't think that it's we try to do that. It just sort of happens. Like life happens, and things get hard, and then you have this, this everybody around you sort of going through the same thing, and we want to be there for each other, so we're venting to our friends. I made a TikTok about venting too much to your friends, and it's okay, I think, to vent, but you got to be careful with that, because you vent too much about your wife, and then next thing you know, you're caught up in this resentment and everything, and I think that getting back to what you were saying, I don't think we try to not pursue our wives. I don't think we try to disintegrate like that. It's just sort of like we get tired, and it's like we work all the time, and then we start using our tiredness as an excuse not to do anything for our wife or whatever. And then she gets upset, and then it's just this never-ending spiral. And I feel like if you want to stop that spiral, you got to be on top of it before it happens. And say you do get control of it after it starts, you get control of that downward spiral. Once you get control of it, you got to hold on to that baby like a wild horse, because it can easily pop out. I mean, I could screw things up bad. And I've shared this on some of my lives. Like, if I keep my focus on my wife, pursue what her interests are and what she's interested in, if I keep that new and honest and fresh every day, life is easy. But as soon as I lose that, I'm tired, I take advantage too much. I could take advantage. I could come home and sit on the couch and watch TV every night. I could probably get away with that for a while, but that's a recipe for disaster. And when you're a guy and you realize that, it's, it'll change your life. It'll change your whole marriage. So.
Yeah. I think one of the big challenges is, I think we as men, we have this mindset that we're present, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're engaged, right? It's easy to come home and sit on the couch or go out in the garage and work on your little projects and go, I'm at home. But just because you're home doesn't mean you're engaged. It doesn't mean that you're connecting. And I think that's really, really important, is that we, especially as fathers, is that we're connecting with our kids. I mean, when's the last time you actually just sat down with your kids and talked to them? I mean, one of the things that as I was scrolling through your TikTok that I enjoyed about is you have this one episode with your son, and he made these little Halloween decorations with the bat. And then he made this little origami dinosaur. And I was just picturing you and your son kind of having this moment together as he's sharing with you his creativity, right? And I can see that being a great experience for you and him.
Yeah. So let me say something real quick. Like what I just said about knowing what's going on with your wife and everything, that has to carry on with your kids too. Like I have a really, really good relationship with my daughter. She's 13, and I would not trade that for the world, you know? But the way that relationships happen is you have to be there, like you said, and you have to do stuff. You know what I mean? Like I used to be the dad that would take my kids anywhere, spoil them, take them to the store, you know, buy my wife stuff. But that is not enough. You have to care, and you have to be in there. And I spent a lot of time with my son. We like to run together. We do trail running and stuff. I've made some TikToks about it. It's just something that we enjoy. I've been running with my son since he was like 3, and it's just something that we like to do. And so when we get out in the woods and everything, you know, it's me and him time. Me and my daughter, like, we like to actually we like to sit down and watch TikToks of live sessions. We have a favorite. His name's the Dylan. We follow him on TikTok. He's just some young guy that we just laugh. He's just hilarious. But me and her that's like the highlight of our day. We watch the Dylan every night for 20 minutes or whatever. And it's just like, you know, you gotta be real, and definitely gotta take that little bit of time. I mean, the thing is, you know, you got to get out of that state of mind that, you know, it's work, work, work. That I've been like that, man, for so long. And I'll tell you what, you know, through certain circumstances out of my control, I was able to have these relationships with my family. So I thank God for everything that I have with my family.
You know,
So,
that you hit on something that I think's really important is recognizing that you need to do different things with each one of your kids. It's, you know, this past weekend, you know, we took a day trip and went to LA and just went to the beach with my daughter. And it's interesting because the conversation with her is always centered around boys, fashion, and more fashion and taking photos, right? And so, and my other daughter, she's a sporty girl. She's volleyball, and let's play a game, and let's go, you know, let's have a competition. And it was really fun because when we went out we were out at Dockweiler Beach, and Judy, my wife, and Jessica, they're like, hey, let's do a little photo shoot. And so, you know, they're out on the rocks and posing, and I'm taking photos of them, and they're taking photos. But it was so fun. It's not something that I necessarily would do, right? But it's something that's really important to her. And so when you're making that time to interact on the things that are valuable to them, that they love, and it's really their gift, it opens up an opportunity for you to have a dialogue with your kids and create a relationship that is deeper than, hey, I'm just your dad.
yeah. Amen, man. I mean, I know there's a lot of good dads out there that have good relationships with their kids. And I hear from a lot of moms that, you know, here's the process. So a lot of stay-at-home moms, they're at home, they take care of the house all day, they have multiple kids. I talked to a lady today that has 7 kids. I was like, what? And the thing is, when dad comes home, the kids are like on his lap, having a good time. They listen to dad, you know, most of the time, because dad's all fun and everything. But then when dad leaves, they don't listen to mommy sometimes. You know, there's a little bit of issues there. I learned something. Like, if I don't take my wife seriously, my kids won't. And so it's important for me when I am home, even though there's issues sometimes that I don't really feel like dealing with, you got to take your wife seriously, because I learned that I only have 2 kids, and if I had 7 kids and because of my you know, not serving my wife or whatever, my kids would pick up on that. If I had all 7 of them, you know, that would be some stuff. Because the thing is, as dads, I don't think we realize the amount of pressure that's put on mom during the day. For a stay-at-home mom, or a mom that even works on top of taking all their kids, there are a lot of good guys that help with that, but there's also a lot of guys that feel that that's mom's job and they don't take it seriously. And what they don't realize that they're doing is they're causing insubordination and they're causing a discipline thing with their kids sometimes. And I think it's really important to recognize that. And I think it's also really important to recognize that the kids seeing mom and dad get along is really important to them, whether they know it or not. Because when you are, at ends with your wife or your spouse, the kids pick up on that, and it affects the way they treat people. It affects their mood. It affects their relationships with the grandparents and everything. So, I've had a little bit of a taste of all of it, not the 7 kids thing, but I can only imagine for a lady that has all those kids that see the dads, they don't see it. That's what I mean. Like, the dad doesn't see the mom's struggle, because when he comes home, the kids are all fun and everything. He doesn't understand that when he leaves, it's different. It's not the same thing. And so I believe, in my heart, that there's a lot of dads out there that mean well, and they just think that working and being a working man is enough. But, like we said, like earlier, it's just that, we're at a different time now. The kids need everybody. The kids need mom and dad. I mean, back in the day, I had somebody have a conversation with me about, back in like World War II, when the dads were at war, the mom took care of the kids. There was no problems and moms didn't complain. Nowadays, for some reason, the women are complaining. The thing is, back then, every man and woman that had anything worked their tails off to get it. Nowadays, we're a little bit spoiled here. I mean, just a little bit. I've been in other countries where it's like really, really poor, and we got it pretty good here.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, there's a couple things that I thought about as I was listening to you. Number one, we as a husband, as a father, we need to make sure that we're presenting a unified front with our wife. I mean, my kids know that if mom said something, dad's going to say the same thing. And I always ask them, well, did you ask mom? Oh, yeah, I asked her and she said no. Well, guess what? That's what dad says, right? So making sure that you're creating that united front. And the other thing is, and I've shared this on a past episode, but maybe it's important that I share it today. I was working with, I was asked in our church group to go and work with this young couple that was kind of struggling. And I went in, and there was a lot of friction, and the husband, one of the things that he said, well, there's no intimacy in our marriage. And so Jody, I was asked by our pastors, like, go visit with them. And I'm like, all right. So I made up the appointment, and I think it was like 6:00. And so I knock on the door, and the husband shouts, come on in, right? And so I go in, and where is he? He's sitting on the couch playing Nintendo. And there's a little baby next to him. He's got a poopy diaper. And I mean, that thing is rank. And then there's a baby in a high chair that's crying. And the mom's around the corner trying to cook dinner. And he's playing this video game. And he goes, sit down. I go, wait a sec. I go, before we can talk, we need to help your wife. There's some things here. I go, you need to change that diaper. He goes, well, man, I just taking a break. I was sitting down, I've been working all day, and I just wanted to take a minute to rewind, and so I'm playing video games. I'm like, dude, time out. Time out. Dude, you don't think she's tired? You don't think she wants a break? And, you're talking about, there's no intimacy, between you guys, and you're coming home and just sitting on the couch playing Nintendo. No wonder. I go, let's start by helping your wife, right? Let's get the kids in a good place, get your wife in a good place, and then let's have a conversation. And I think, and I liked one of your TikToks where you said, like, guys, let's take a no video game November. Just take a break and be attentive and be present with your kids and with your wife, and see what kind of impact that would actually have on your relationship.
My wife invented that, by the way. I was telling her, I've been trying to communicate her all the excitement going on TikTok, because it's been crazy. And there's this thing about with all kinds, like we're talking thousands of women complaining that their husbands just come home and play video games. It's not that there's anything wrong with video games. It's just that some people do it way, way too much. And it's like, you know, if you're trying to get a divorce, you know, have at it. But like, you know, I don't know. I'm not a big video game guy. Like I had one a long time ago, but I don't think about that kind of thing. I have a really good friend that plays video games a lot, but he doesn't have any kids and his wife works different shift than him, you know? But it's just that like, you can't just demand success and not try, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I tried to tell my wife about all these moms that are complaining about their husbands, and she was pretty mean about it, dude. Because I guess before she was going out with me when she was 17 and 18, she had a boyfriend that she was with all through high school, and they ended up getting engaged when they were seniors in high school, and they moved in together, and all he did was play video games, and they ended up breaking up. And so she doesn't have any sympathy whatsoever for video games. And so, you know, I said about, what do I say to all these moms? She's like, just leave them. And I'm like, we're trying to help the families to stay together, babe. And she's like, I would not put up with that. I put up with that with Dale and blah, blah, blah. And she went crazy. And I was like, well, can you think of something better? And like, that was her thing. No game November. So I thought it was pretty smart because like, you know, if you have intimacy with your wife every single day, that's going to change the chemistry there a little bit, I think. Maybe the video games won't matter that much. I don't know. But it's not like anybody's actually going to listen anyway.
No, but it's interesting because, you know, it doesn't have to be video games. It could be the ESPN Sports Channel. It could be you working on the hot rod in the garage, right? And I think there's a way for you to, as a man, go, you know what, I have my interests, I have my hobbies, and it's okay to schedule them. But don't come home and just plop on the couch and do nothing the first thing you do, right? So be engaged when you come home and work out a plan. If that's what you really want to do. I mean, I'm not a gamer myself, but I'm like, if you really want to have a game night, schedule game night. But make sure if you're going to do that, that you have a date night every week. And make sure that that wife is a priority and that you set some time with your kids and spending quality, engaged time with them. And then, you know, maybe then that game time is not going to be so much of an issue because you put everybody else before your own interest.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of sympathy for it. I think gaming can be sort of an addiction, like a drug. They say that, like, you know, with social media too, like it releases endorphins and stuff in your brain. And so, you know, I understand, I'm not saying it's right, but I understand a little bit how people can get addicted and it's hard to get away from it. I can understand that. However, you know, you got to try. And I think that, you know, at least how my wife is, and I think a lot of wives would agree, if you try and your wife sees you trying, unless you're really super in the doghouse, you know, she'll mellow out on you a little bit. So, you know, if you put the video game, you say, look, babe, I've been playing too much, I know, and you put the controller down one extra time a week, that's going to make a little bit of a difference. So, I mean, I think a lot of ladies might be frustrated, but I feel like if their guys would try just a little bit, things could get a lot better. And I think that with what you and I are doing, I think it can really help. And I honestly, I've heard really a lot of good feedback lately from me just making 1-minute videos about this stuff. I've had a lot of people emailing me, sending me TikTok messages and thanking me. I had like 4 or 5 people say that I helped save their marriage. I'm like, okay. And all because I'm trying to be convicting to the dads. On Friday, listen to this. I had a live feed. I do a live feed on my TikTok channel every weekday morning around 6 o'clock. As I'm driving to work, I just kind of throw it on. You can't even see my face. It's usually dark. But I had a lady come on there and tell me that her husband saw one of my videos and he started crying and he confessed to her that he cheated on her
Mm.
and he wants to be a better husband. And I was like, what? So whatever's going on with this stuff is very powerful. And so, yeah, it's crazy. I had another guy tell me, I made a video about it. I had a guy email me. We started talking. We exchanged phone numbers. We talked on the phone a few times. He was on the verge of divorce. It was like a couple of weeks. We prayed on the phone. We just talked it out. I gave him some pointers. And I'm like, you got to fight for your marriage, man. She's going to leave. Well, about a week into us talking, she served him papers. And he called me upset, you know, and we prayed some more. We did a lot of talking on the phone, and I was like, dude, you gotta talk about your commitment with her. Da 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 da. That night, like right at midnight, I got a direct message from him on TikTok saying that his wife has ripped the papers up in front of him, and they're starting over, and their marriage is gonna start over. And I was like, bro, that is like the coolest news, man. And so I'm not gonna quit.
No, that's impact, right? I mean, and that's really what you're trying to do, what I'm trying to do with Father's Fire is like, look, guys, we can be the change in our marriages. If you've been struggling, if your marriage has gotten stale, your relationship with your wife has flatlined, and even with your kids is flatlined, you can start from today and instigate change, right? But it's going to
Amen.
require you to consistently do it, because it may have taken you a long time to get to this point, and you've kind of been oblivious to it, ignoring it. And it's going to take you consistent efforts to rebuild that which was lost. So don't expect it to happen in a day or a week. You have to be 100% invested. And I would say
Amen.
you have to be 120% invested, because you have to rebuild that which was lost. But it can be done. And it starts with
Yeah.
you going, sweetheart, you know what? I'm gonna change. I'm going to stumble through this process, but with your love, with your patience, with your commitment, with my commitment, we can make this family everything that you hope to be. It could be, and even more. Are you willing to
Amen,
walk with
brother.
me?
Amen.
And
What's that?
some of us need to
Sorry.
go through the valley. I think a lot of times we're in the valley and we're grumbling about the valley. But the drudgery and the struggle and the dark moments of the valley are exactly what give you the strength to climb the mountain that's ahead of you, so that you can see a brighter day. So embrace
Dude, you
the
are
journey.
speaking my language right now. That is awesome. That is awesome. Go ahead.
Oh man. So
I just want to tell you, dude, real quick, like the stuff you are saying is so on point. Like, here's the thing. When you admit there's a problem, when you, like, a lot of this, I think, is admitting there's a problem. You need to figure out what it is. A lot of this has to do with your time. You need to figure out what is it in your life that, you know, is taking up all your time. And some of us we don't want to admit it to our own soul. You know what I mean? Because maybe that one thing that is taking up all your time is what you use to vent, or maybe it's go to the gym or whatever. For me, that's what it was. I used to go to the gym all the time. I spent hours and hours there. You know, and the thing is I didn't want to even admit that was an issue, because it's like, I need this. You need to give me that because I do this, this, and this. The problem is that little stupid thing can just ruin your whole life. And so I think as dads, we got to suck it up and be men and be like, yeah, this isn't good. And try to figure out how to modify it a little bit to give your family more time. That's the hardest thing about all this, you know? So.
Dude, I love that. And I really appreciate that, because even good things in too much of a dose can be bad for your marriage and your relationship, right? Working out is a great thing, but if you're there 3 hours a day and not taking care of the kids, not so good. Right?
Yeah.
So just kind of in
See,
wrap up. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say, for me, I worked at a ministry that was a fight club. I taught martial arts there. I was supposed to work one day a week, and I slowly ended up being there every single day. and it drove my wife mad. And I'm like, I'm helping people. This is a ministry. There's people that are looking up to me for everything. And the problem is, I can preach that all day long, but if I come home and my family life is not right, the people at the gym will see that, which they have, and it makes everything I do like hypocritical. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, I'm sure some of my friends probably from the gym will see one of my TikToks at some point and be like, this guy's preaching about marriage, because 5 years ago things were a mess. You know what I mean? And it's like, the point of it is, though, is God removed that stuff from my life in order for me to see now what I actually have. And I'm grateful that things went down the way they did, because I don't even know if I would have stopped the gym totally. I quit the gym 100% right now because of COVID. But the problem is, I'm not going back to it, man. You know, this whole thing, the past year of my life has been the best my marriage has ever been, ever since last September. And, you know, I'm not even trying to go back to that. And I'm kind of like, the relationship I have with my daughter now is phenomenal. Me and my son have always been good. But the relationship me and my wife have right now, I will never give it up. And I would say to any man that's listening to me right now, that if there's something in your life, remove it for 1 year. And I promise you that your family life will mean way more to you than your stupid thing. So
That's awesome, man. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I mean, you and I can keep going. I mean, I can
oh yeah.
tell it's really a passion for both of us to really help you men become better versions of yourself and ultimately impact the families that you have, the relationships that you have with your wife and your beautiful children. I just want to thank you for taking the time. I mean, this has been a phenomenal discussion. Kind of in closing, is there one or two things that you just think, dads, you need to do this to make your family strong?
Well, you know, two things. You can't lead a family to higher ground if you don't have a goal. And, you know, for me and my wife, like, we became believers. We're Christians. We became believers when I was 27, and we had it all wrong. We did the whole religious thing, showing up at church. You know, I mean, the thing is, though, is when you have a real relationship with God, what I mean by that is you have to have a goal. Like the Bible says that God is love, and if you know love and that's your goal for your house, you're gonna succeed. And for me, I pray a lot. I'm a prayer guy. I'm not like, I go to church, but not every week. You know what I mean? It's not to me. This isn't about religion. This is about real love, and it's out there. And if you want a piece of it, it's there. But you have to have a goal. And if you have your goal and your priorities in order, you can't fail. And one of the main things that you can do to help yourself, help your whole family, is keep on top of your relationship with your wife. One day your kids are going to be gone, and you don't want them walking out of your house when they're 18 years old, you know, not understanding what love is. And I can say that for me, my goal is to teach my kids about love and have peace in my house so they can take that peace to wherever they move. That's more important to me than their careers. That's more important to me than money. That's more important to me than anything. And I just want to encourage any dad out there that's struggling. There is a God, and he loves you, and he's here for you. And I just believe so much that God has blessed me with my family. And I just want to say, you know, that just stay in the game, stay in the struggle. And if you're struggling, that means you're still alive and there's a chance. So I love you, and I'm praying for you out there. I don't know you, but I'm praying for you.
Man, awesome. And I guess we should either say amen or pass the plate.
Amen. Yeah, pass the plate. Oh boy.
No, that was great, man. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to visit with me. And I mean, it's just great. Guys, those that are on TikTok, make sure you go out, check him out. It's Sean, SEANY _the_kid. He's got some great content. trying to help all of us men become better husbands, better fathers, better dads. I mean, so go check him out, give him some mad love and follow and support. And I want to thank you for joining me every week as we explore how we can be better fathers. Please go out there, like, subscribe, and share so we can spread the love, spread the message, and help all of us become the men that our wives are hoping we'll be and who we really can be destined to be. So with that said, we will check you guys same time, same bad channel, just next week, right here on Father's Fire. See ya!